My summer in London is a hard thing to put into words. It was a summer full of adventure and new experiences. I took every chance I could get to walk through the city and stumble upon new and exciting places, people, and things to do. Every day I found a new favorite place, whether it was sitting at the top of Primrose Hill and taking in the incredible views of the city, or mastering the London Underground. Before leaving for my summer adventure, the one thing I was told over and over again was to watch out for the bad food. To be fair, I did get pretty tired of fish and chips, but the food was one of my favorite things about the city. Let's just say I didn't go hungry. One of my favorite quotes that kept ringing in my head all summer is, "When a man is tired of London, he is tired of life." Samuel Jackson was right. I don't think I got tired of the city once. I loved just being in the center of the city where tons of incredible things were at my fingertips. I can't even count how many times I stopped in Trafalgar Square to grab a coffee and admire the lions and Admiral Nelson on top of his column in the center of the square. From the center of the city, the sights are incredible. I could walk down the road and head to Westminster, where I could run straight into Big Ben, quite possibly the biggest tourist attraction and most crowded place in London. I couldn't stop myself from taking pictures of such an iconic London monument. Big Ben and the rest of the Parliament building was covered in incredible and timeless architecture. From Big Ben, I could cross the Westminster Bridge and see the London Eye standing tall next to the buildings around it. On one of my first nights in the city, I rode the Eye and got to see what easily became one of my favorite views of the city. Much like Big Ben, it was hard not to take a picture of the Eye at every chance I got. From the Eye, I could head back towards Big Ben and end up in what quickly became one of my favorite green spots in the city, St. James Park. I could have spent hours just taking in the scenery and people watching. From the park, Fleet Street, one of the oldest parts of London, is just a tube ride away. I quickly mastered the art of reading a tube map and jumping from train to train. Once on Fleet Street, it's hard to not stop everywhere. My favorite stop was the original Twinings tea shop. You can see how tiny it is compared to the buildings it's squished between. Fleet Street is the perfect place to see a mesmerizing mesh of the old and the new. Some of the buildings on this street date back to the 1500s, like Ye Olde Cheshire Cheese, and some are the newest and most modern buildings in the city, like the Shard. St. Paul's Cathedral sits at the top of Fleet Street. I was able to climb all the way to the top of the church, singing Feed the Birds from Mary Poppins all the way up. Once at the top, I was able to once again get an incredible view of the city. Have you caught on yet that I just really liked looking at the city? I found myself in East London soon after St. Paul's Cathedral. Different from central London, East London is very artsy and eclectic. The walls of buildings were covered in incredible street art, and tiny markets, boutiques, and unique restaurants lined the streets. Quickly into my trip to London, I realized how many different markets the city had. Being the market lover that I am, I made a point to visit as many as possible. Two of my favorites, the Spitalfields Market and the Columbia Road Flower Market, were both in East London. From East London, the views of the Tower Bridge were incredible. I crossed back across the Thames and into an area of London called Southwark, where I spent a couple of nights as a groundling in Shakespeare's Global Theatre. The actors pushed and shoved their way through the crowd, and Julius Caesar died right in front of me. On our last nights in London, I spent extra time taking in the lit-up city skyline. Outside of Shakespeare's Globe was a perfect place to do this. I could look across the Thames to St. Paul's Cathedral and look down the river to East London. As I took the Underground home on my last night in the city, I couldn't help but dread leaving London. The summer was spent doing something new every day, experiencing new things, going on new adventures, learning about the city, and learning about myself. Vivienne Westwood was right when she said, "There's no place like London. Nothing at all, anywhere."